open and ready for business.
Let us now cross borders and move to the United Kingdom, where the country is holding elections that would decide what occupies the 10th Downing Street. The issue of immigration, where more than 3.4 million people either entered or passed through the UK last year, is no doubt a big factor among voters in the United Kingdom. The polls are being held in England, Ireland and Scotland, as well as Wales. The cost of living has seen the Conservative Party's 14-year clasp at the helm of political leadership slowly slip away. Our reporter Timothy Otieno is in the United Kingdom and filed this following report.
Alex Adanyanya couldn't wait for this day to arrive any sooner.
This is Paul Lincoln. It was posted to me a few days ago.
He knows what's at stake in these elections. He welcomed us into his home for breakfast before we accompanied him to the polling center, where he hopes to have a say in the politics of the country he lives and works in.
As a voter, we've had quite a number of issues, right from the economy. Pre-exit has affected us. We are concerned about education.
Alex relocated from Kenya to the UK in 2008 and believes the issue of immigration in the country, a political hot potato in this election, is receiving undue negative political expediency. Rishi Sunak's Conservative Party, which has been in power since 2010, agrees immigration, especially illegal one, has been on the rise post-pandemic, but brags on the numbers reducing recently.
And we will introduce a migration cap that means Parliament, your elected representatives, will vote on how many people should be able to come here every year.
It's mint flavour, is that right?
Sunak's main political opponent, Sir Keir Starmer of the Labour Party, has pledged to cancel asylum seeker flights to Rwanda and instead promises to hire new investigators, intelligence officers and cross-border police officers to help with immigration issues.
Imagine how you would feel waking up on July the 5th to 5 more years of the Conservatives. 5 more years of decline and division.
Last year, over 3.4 million people entered the UK, with more than half of this number coming as visitors and tourists. Work visas took the bulk of net migration into the UK, with a near similar number for student visas. 16,000 people were detained for illegally entering the country, and as at December 2023, asylum applications stood at 67,337.
Thank you so much for speaking to KTN.
Among those seeking a new home in the UK is Robert, not his real name. The immigrant from East Africa has been on a waiting list for the last 13 months.
I don't believe I would have a future if I went back home or back in time. But then I decided to stay. It wasn't really easy for me. It wasn't emotionally, physically. But then I decided to request asylum.
He applied for asylum on account of political unrest in his home country. On the streets of London, opinion remains varied on how the government is tackling the issue.
Our systems are getting completely overwhelmed because of people who are here illegally.
They only come here because they need to come here. They don't come here because it's good fun. They come here because they want a better life.
But you know what? We've got a happy home, a clean home, and people are always welcome in our home, Tim, to come and have dinner.
For social worker Nicolette Smith, it's not so much so immigration as it is the cost of living crisis that's her main concern.
The government have had no control over the price cap. It seems to be just going up and up. I think that's affected people like me, people in higher salaries than myself. But in the work that I do with children's services, I've seen many families really, really struggle, and old people struggle.
The mother of one now has to work harder to make sure all her monthly bills are paid. Inflation, although now reducing, affected how she spends her money, and she now says she's using her vote to offer up a vote of no confidence in the current government. Now, the election results are expected to start streaming in Thursday evening and well into Friday morning. According to the electoral system here in the United Kingdom, for a party to form a majority, then they need to win all the seats in the lower chamber, the House of Commons. There are 650 constituencies in the United Kingdom, meaning there are 650 seats up for grabs in the 2024 general election. For a party to be deemed to have formed a majority, then it needs to win at least 326 of these seats. That is more than half of the number up for grabs. A party can still form a government without getting to this number, as we all saw in 2010 when David Cameron's Conservative Party won the election but failed to reach a majority needed to push legislation in Parliament. When such an instance happened, it's known as a hung parliament. Now, in 2010, David Cameron tried to circumvent this crisis by forming a coalition government with the Liberal Democrats, meaning they were able to then get to the 326 number needed to comfortably push for legislation. In the 2024 general elections, both the pundits and the polls predict that Labour will comfortably sweep into power with an easy majority. Could we be seeing the end of the historic reign of Prime Minister Rishi Sunak? Timothy Otieno, KTN News, in London, the United Kingdom.
Coming up in sports, Shuja's Anthony Omondi